Revenge films.
After we got married, I couldn't get pregnant for a while. My in-laws nagged at me, and I went to the hospital, but there was nothing wrong with me.
Please bring your husband next time.
My doctor told me. So I brought my reluctant husband with me the next time I visited, and we found out that there was a problem with him. The diagnosis must have been shocking for him because he lost a couple pounds in just 1 week. I stood by his side though. And I wasn't just giving him empty words of comfort either. Even if we couldn't have a baby, I still loved him and wanted to be with him forever, regardless. So I told him, I'm happy that I married you. I want to be with you forever. I didn't marry you just for a child, and reassured him many times. He listened to me and nodded as he cried. Back then, whenever a couple were having a hard time bearing a child, it was always the mother's fault, so I was the one who always got blamed. I knew my husband was too embarrassed to admit that he was infertile, so I took the blame. I always thought of my husband's face that day when we got back from the hospital and didn't have it in me to tell his parents that it was their son's fault. My husband always apologized to me, of course. My relatives, who didn't understand our situation, would say mean things like, "Leave this old hag and find yourself a younger wife." I dealt with this on a daily basis, but it was for my husband. 10 years passed like that. One day, my husband brought home a young and cute-looking girl. She was infertile too, and my husband said,
She's the only one that understands me.
He looked so happy as he gently held her fragile hand. My husband was depressed after he found out about his infertility, so I used to take him out every chance I had. We went on trips, picnics, hiking, zoos, art museums, all kinds of places together. Apparently, he met the girl during one of our trips together. I just wanted him to see that there was so much more to life than having a baby. I wanted to replace his bad memories with good ones. I was so happy when I saw how much happier he seemed. I persevered through all these sarcastic comments for him, and this is how he repaid me. My in-laws were excited to hear of their son's affair. "Now that he's with a younger girl, we have a chance to have a grandchild," my mother-in-law shouted in joy, right to my face. I was about to lose it. 10 years I dealt with all this crap, and it was all for nothing. I did it all for him, and now he was all into this young girl. His parents must have seen me as the perpetrator because they would always say things like, "You're useless if you can't have a baby, and you won't back off him either. Quit being selfish and ruining his life." My husband never told them that both he and his new girlfriend were infertile. I just wanted to get away from the whole situation. When I finally got a hold of myself, I was walking empty-handed at a mountain that I used to climb with my husband. It wasn't like I had plans to kill myself, but some hikers saw me wandering aimlessly and approached me. They thought it was weird that I was dressed like I was about to go grocery shopping at the mountains. We just passed by, but they got worried and came to ask me what was wrong. "Here, take a seat. You're so cold."
Drink this.
The hikers took care of me, and they started hearing me out. I could tell that they were more concerned than curious. They helped me down the mountain and said, "You shouldn't be alone." And we all exchanged numbers. I had nowhere to go, and sleeping in motels. But one of the guys was a business owner and said,
I have a small apartment room that's open. You can live there. It's set up to accommodate my workers, so all the necessities are prepared.
He lent me the room and only charged me for the rent. I was so thankful to all these people for reaching out to me during such a dark period of my life. They continued to watch out for me, invited me on hikes, and sometimes invited me over for dinner. It was as if everything I did for my husband came around back to me. These people really saved my life. I spent about 6 months like that, and one day, they introduced me to a man. Well, the man joined us on one of our hikes one day, but he was so nice. I started looking forward to seeing him, and naturally, we started dating and got married. I never expected to have a child with my ex-husband, but I was able to give birth to an adorable girl. 3 years later, I had 2 more boys, and we were a very happy family. Around then, an old friend told me about my ex-husband's situation. I was completely over him and didn't care either way, but I heard that he got divorced after his young wife cheated on him. Of course, they didn't have a child because they were both infertile. My ex-in-laws realized that they weren't going to have anyone care for them once they were older and were requesting that I come back. By the way, according to my friend, the reason that the young wife was infertile was because she didn't care for her body when she was a minor. In other words, she slept around too much and had too many abortions or had too many STDs. I had changed my phone a long time ago, but I still use the same email address. One day, I noticed an email from my ex-husband. I considered just deleting it without reading it, but I was curious what he had to say after all these years, so I opened it up. He wrote on and on about how he was fooled by the young girl and how he was a victim. I could imagine his face, but he got what he deserved. He went on about how depressed he was, and I could tell that he thought that if he told me how depressed he was, I would come running back and support him like before. I was surprised how someone that I cared for before could become so insignificant to me, but I had a family now. 3 lovely children, and a lovely husband who takes great care of me. So, I had no intentions of getting back in touch with my stupid ex-husband or taking care of his parents. I had already moved out of the town I used to live in and didn't think I would ever see him again. So I sent him a family photo of my beautiful children and husband. I figured a picture was worth 1,000 words. After that, I deleted that email address. At the time, I was too depressed to even argue with my ex-husband and just kind of run away. But I felt like I got my revenge. After getting rid of my email address, I felt like I finally got rid of the last thing that connected us. And it felt refreshing. I still stay in touch with those hikers that approached me that day. They were so happy for us when we got married and take great care of our children as well. One day, when my kids get older, I hope to be able to climb mountains with them as well. I heard later that my ex-husband is currently over his head, caring for his parents. And since his young wife spent all their money, he doesn't have enough left to hire helpers or put them in retirement homes, so he does all the work by himself. On top of all that, the divorce court is dragging on, which is just going to cost him even more money. Serves him right.
How was today's video? If you enjoyed it, please subscribe, like, and leave a comment. Stay tuned for more.